Revenge of the Spirits. A group of tourists was headed for Beluga Mountain in late July. The heat was pleasant and warming to the bone. The wind was blowing on the travelers' faces. The group was headed by a mature married couple. It was the group leader, whom everyone called Semyonovich, and his wife Valentina. The group consisted of 2 young guys, assistants, 2 girls, and a man in his 30s. Dark-haired, densely built, pumped up, and athletic. He gave the impression of a brutal macho, but at the same time, he was sullen, gloomy, and somehow isolated. His name was Sergei. The travelers walked all day, and towards evening it was time to prepare for the night. The tourists were chatting merrily, joking, telling stories. So, unnoticeably, they made a fire and put a kettle on it. Suddenly, the men noticed a strange, lonely tree located a little higher than the place where the camp was. They decided to go and see what it was. As they climbed the hill, they stopped in front of a huge, mighty tree with a spreading crown, which was hung with old shamanic things. The first thing that caught the eye was a shaman's leather costume, the manjack. It consisted of a long outer garment, pants, and boots. There also hung a torn shamanic drum with a huge crack that crossed it diagonally in the middle, as well as a shaman's hat with a row of pendants in the front and huge reindeer antlers. A few meters away from the shaman's tree was a strange structure. 4 tall trees forming a rectangle were connected by a wooden deck. It was set higher than a man's height.
What's this?
It's a shamanic urunkus, a ritual death shrine. It's the traditional funeral place for shamans.
So what, an urunkus has shaman's bones in it or something?
It's possible. You know, I don't really feel like checking it out.
I don't give a damn about all your medieval stuff. I'm gonna become a shaman myself.
Don't do that. It's very dangerous. It could end very badly for you and all of us.
Badly. Well, we're about to find out. He took a long stick, walked over to the shaman's tree, picked up the shaman's manjack, the ritual costume, and pulled it down from the branches with great difficulty, struggling to pull it on. Damn, it's heavy. Here's the hat. Let's try it on.
Sergei, stop before it's too late.
Wait, I'm just getting started. No, it's not that. This is what I need. A tambourine. What's a shaman without a tambourine? It's a little torn, but it's okay. I'm not picky. I'll play on a torn one. I'm an Altai Eskimo. I've brought you a lot of herbs. Hey-ya, hey-ya. Everyone watched the ridiculous and dangerous clowning in silence and with reproach. At last, Sergei had had enough of the clowning, and he stopped. He took off the manjack and shaman's hat and threw them carelessly on the ground. So, what do we have here? A hut on non-chicken legs?
Sergei, please don't do this. Understand the spirits won't forgive this.
Although everyone dissuaded him, Sergei still went to the urunkus. Here are the bones of the great shaman. Don't step here, he'll kill you. He began to dance on the urunkus, and at that moment, all nature seemed to wake up, revived and darkened. Hey-ya, hey-ya. Oh, I'm getting a little uncomfortable here.
You see, the weather's already turned bad because of you.
That's nothing, just a coincidence. You go ahead, I'll catch up with you soon. The group went forward, and the dim-witted tourist, taking advantage of the fact that no one could see him, collected magic items and, hiding them in his backpack, returned to the camp. During the night, the weather deteriorated even more. The wind had picked up, howling through the trees, rattling the tents, making it hard to relax and sleep. In the morning, Sergei got up exhausted, as if he had been beaten with a mallet all night. He walked around as if he were drowned in water and didn't talk to anyone. In the general bustle, no one paid any attention to him. After a quick snack, the hikers set off. Not 15 minutes later, Sergei suddenly felt the urge to step aside.
You guys go on without me. I'll catch up with you. I'll be right back. You guys go on.
The whole group moved further along the route, while Sergei moved a little away from the path and threw off his backpack from his shoulders. Although all his luggage was not light, he was prevented from leaving the shamanic items by basic greed. He moved on his way, but decided to cut back a bit and return to the trail, bypassing the mountain to get ahead of the group. As he walked, time seemed to change, becoming rubbery. Each step was difficult. The backpack weighed heavily on his shoulders, and his legs felt like cotton. At some point, Sergei began to realize that he simply did not understand where he should go anymore. The feeling of anxiety was growing. He sat down on a rock, wiped the hot sweat from his face, and suddenly realized with distinct clarity that he was simply lost in the taiga. Sergei climbed into the tent and got into his sleeping bag. Thoughts were squeezing his head with a tight hoop. He thought about the fact that there was no communication here, and he had enough food for only a couple of days. And then what? What if he didn't find a way out? He realized that he had gone too far, to a place where even the most experienced tourists do not go. After a while, the grief-stricken tourist felt that his body was filled with leaden weight and as if stuck to the ground. He began to sink into some strange world.
Where am I?
Spirits began to come at him from all sides. Two-headed drunken women, howling dogs, a hanged man with one eye, dwarfs with huge feet turned backwards, a mother nursing a baby with breasts oozing greenish-yellow pus, and fat, ever-hungry money changers with huge sacks. And some other beasts. Between all these spirits, there was a wolverine, whose every movement gave a wild pain in the head.
Ah, damn it. Shit.
Terrified and desperate, he sprang outside and ran, running without looking back, without seeing the road. Like a helpless, hunted animal, he darted from side to side. Finally, unable to see anything in the darkness, he fell into a deep crevice between the rocks, trapped. He had dislocated his leg and seriously injured his knee in the fall from the height. It was dawn, and the gloomy morning greeted the uninvited guest with bone-chilling cold and gray morning fog. Only now Sergei realized what a serious situation he was in. He was in a deep crevice, and around, not a soul. The realization of the inevitability of death hung over him like the sword of Damocles.
Help! People! Somebody! Help! Hey!
He screamed for hours on end until he was exhausted. Finally, overwhelmed, worn out, and desperate to the limit, he fell to the stone floor of his trap and forgot himself. Balancing on the edge of sleep and wakefulness, Sergei suddenly clearly saw an owl. Then, an unexpected sharp pain pierced him. Two sharp, powerful claws stabbed into the back of his head, and a huge, strong beak struck him in the very top of his head. The owl clutched his head tightly with its talons, flapped its wings, and took off. His head separated from his body and soared upward with the owl.
Where are you taking me? Let me go now!
Almost that same instant, the whole space was filled with a milky white mist. Sighs, inarticulate speech, and lamentations were heard everywhere. When the fog cleared, Sergei saw the abyss beneath him, where the souls of dead sinners languished. Each of them complained about their fate, regretting their lost lives, their unaccomplished deeds, their unattained goals. All these voices merged into a common suffering chorus. Sergei abruptly realized that a little more time and he would merge with this mass and drown in the ocean of suffering and sorrow.
No, no, no!
The next moment, a great shaman appeared before him in full shamanic attire, with a tambourine and the same hat with those very reindeer horns.
Why did you disturb my ashes?
I didn't know you'd find out.
I mean, you were told and you didn't listen.
I didn't believe.
Why did you take my things?
I just wanted to play.
Play? Well, now I've played with you. You will not rest until you put everything back in place and undergo the purification ritual.
The vision disappeared as suddenly as it had appeared, and in the same second, Sergei woke up on the stone floor of the crevice.
What have I done? I'll never get out of here now. Why did I bring those things with me? Why did I have to climb that Arankus in the first place?
Then he prayed.
Lord, help me. Lord, if you were there.
Hearing the wild, heartbreaking screams, Northern Cam and his young apprentice Sao Shient stopped and then moved in the direction of the sounds. In a few minutes, they were already at the target.
Wow, there's a man in here. People, help me. I've got a hurt leg. Get me out of here.
Old Cam and Sao Shient very carefully and gently pulled Sergei upwards, throwing him a sturdy rope. Although Sergei was immensely happy, he looked very bad. His clothes were torn, his eyes and cheeks sunken. Sergei tried to step on his sore foot.
All right, that's it. Now you're going to build yourself a crutch. See this young tree right here?
Yes?
Cut at the base, but not at the root, a little higher. The tree will still shoot up and start growing again. Apologize to it for hurting it. Do you understand?
I got it. Aren't you guys gonna help me?
We're already helping you.
The great man's tone cooled the fervor of the foolish man. He stopped talking, took an axe out of his knapsack, cut down the tree as Northern Cam had told him, and built himself a crutch. While he worked, the great shaman played the organ. Its sounds were both soothing and profound.
Stop! I understood.
What did you realize?
It's the things. It's them. They're here. I'll get them back.
Your problem is your stupidity. You think that returning your things will fix everything, but the whole reason you're in trouble is right here.
Sergei was not offended. On the contrary, he suddenly realized with total clarity that he had been wrong, that not only one should not take anything, but also one should not approach such places without necessity. They were sacred and required special treatment.
I get it. We need to take these things back and apologize to the shaman and the spirits.
Finally.
When the crutch was ready, they set off. Sergei obediently followed his companions, or rather, it would be more accurate to say, hopped on his healthy leg, leaning on the crutch. It was difficult to walk, but he stoically endured all the hardships and difficulties. At last, they reached the very place where Sergei had desecrated the shaman's burial place.
Now we need to put all these magical items back where they belong.
Yes, of course. He sat down on the ground, untied his knapsack, shook out its contents with shaky hands, and handed the items to his companions. Northern Cam silently took them and, bowing in complete silence, slowly walked towards the Arankas site. Sergei made an attempt to follow him, but was stopped by Cao Xian's strong hand.
You can't go in there. Northern Cam will do it himself. Let me take care of your leg. Oh, you've done yourself in. But it's just a nip in the bud. It's good that you came to your senses in time to be sincere.
How do you figure that?
You stopped bragging about your supposed power, became defenseless, and the spirits reacted immediately.
Yeah, but how?
Very simple. They saw that you wanted to right a wrong, and your condition attracted help, and we came to your rescue.
By evening, the great ritual was over. Northern Cam and Cao Xian began to pack for their journey.
Wait, what about me?
Stay here, sleep here, ask the shaman for his forgiveness. And in the morning, the swelling on your leg will start to go down. You'll walk slowly down that path over there, see?
I see.
Follow it, don't turn around. And when the path leads you to the road, there will be a car coming to pick you up.
How do you know? Maybe it won't come. Instead of answering, old Cam looked at Sergei in such a way that all unnecessary questions fell away from him. Northern Cam and Cao Xian bowed to the sacred place and started on their way. Sergei watched a beautiful sunset, settled into the tent, climbed into his sleeping bag, and fell into a borderline state between sleep and wakefulness. He felt the presence of the great shaman, and once he even glimpsed his countenance. The shaman stood in full shamanic attire, calm and even pleased, even satisfied. He forgave Sergei and blessed him to go on his way.